Ma'am, please start.
Okay. A very good morning to one and all who joined the meeting today. Meet our today's expert, Dr. Shivraj Singh sir. He did his BSc honors in agriculture from SKN College of Agriculture, Jobnet, and mastered in science in dairy economics and PhD in agriculture economics from the NDRI Karnal, Haryana. Dr. Shivraj Singh sir has served 10 years as an assistant professor to the Sardar Kushinagar Datiwada Agriculture University, Gujarat. He had joined Bihar Animal Science University, Patna in February 2023 as an associate professor in Department of Dairy Business Management of SGIDT. Over the course of his academic career, he has taught undergraduate and postgraduate students in the discipline of dairy business management, agriculture economics, and agribusiness management. As a major guide, he has guided five PG students. He also conducted four research projects as PI under the University Research Scheme and five research projects as co-PI, including the MOSPI New Delhi project. In the MOSPI project, he worked as a co-PI for the Western India, including Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. He not only this, he also published 28 research papers, one book chapters, two practical manuals, three working papers, six book chapters, eight university reports, eight popular articles, and six proceeding papers. He is the recipient of five national awards. He also played a key role as a member of the task force committee constituted for Gujarat Plains and Hills region. Performed administrative role as overall controlling officer, ICT cell, Basu Patna, nodal officer, ICAR, SJU, Sardar Kushinagar. On the behalf of organizing team, SGIDT Patna and NADCL, Baramulla, Jammu and Kashmir, sir, I welcome you for the session. Now over to you, sir.
Okay. Thanks, madam. Let's begin this particular lecture session regarding the cost and the profit. Very important aspects in our daily business as well as in our routine enterprise management. Especially in dairy sector, I think this whole training session being designed around the dairy sector. And we know that dairy industry is comprises dairy production as well as dairy processing, both the sectors. Okay, so in that purview, I will discuss the how at farm level, at farmer level, he can minimize the cost as well as he can maximize the profit. At the same time, how industry can reduce the cost and optimize the cost and increase the profit. So from these two aspects, I will synthesize this whole lecture and we will discuss in detail. First, I will discuss what dairy scenario in India is and who are dealing with the dairy sector in production side. Then we go on dairy industry side, how dairy industry is in shape and why cost and the profit are very important dimension for the business, because business overall run on one dimension, that is profitability. If business is not profitability, enterprise is not in the profit, if enterprise motive is not profit, then it is not business. So business is when you are having the profit as a motto. Okay, so let's see how dairy industry in India is. So dairy industry, if you look at country level, recently Government of India was conducted a national sample survey round on around the agriculture sector. And if we see, then it is 17 crore rural households are engaged in our country, 17 crore. Out of that, 79%, 93% or 99 crore families are residing in the rural area and their primary occupation is the agriculture. So we define them as agriculture households. The rest of the around 8 crore households are considered as a non-agriculture household. Non-agriculture household means those who are earning less than 3,000 income from the agriculture. And agriculture households here classified as who are earning 3,000 rupees per month from agriculture sector. So in that way, this sector is being defined. Just a minute. Hello. So overall livestock, if we see, these are the statistics around 90% or around 54% households are engaged in the agriculture sector. And if you see their income generation activity around from agriculture, then 98% households are engaged in the crop farming, and around 86% households are dealing with the livestock farming, and rest of the farmers, around 54% farmers, are dealing with the wages as a income from other sectors. So overall, this picture clearly reflects that households in rural area are not depending on the single source of enterprise. They are dependent on the crop farming, livestock farming, and the wages and salaries. These are the four basic components. In this mix, basically households are dealing. Okay, so here agriculture, livestock farming, around 86% farmers are dealing. So it's a very important. Then let's see across the landholding category. We know that in India there is a lot of disparities in terms of land resource distribution. So we see over the year, in last 20 years, how this has changed. Then around we can say that about 95% farmers in India, those who belong to the smallholder agriculture. That's why we see Indian agriculture is future is lying in the hands of the smallholders. Okay, and these landholders, these farmers, small landholders own around 60% of the land resources. So it's a very small chunk of people, or large chunk of people are having a less land holding. This make a dairy sector very challenging for all of us, either at production side, at marketing side, at processing side, because whenever you as an industry or as an entrepreneur, you have to deal with the farmers, then to collect the milk, to process the milk, you have to deal with the millions of the farmers, because they scatter, they are larger in the number and they own the less land resources. Okay, so that make the overall livestock sector as a challenging sector. So in this scenario, we have to understand how much milk these smallholders are contributing, how much marketed surplus they own, and overall this particularly create a situation, what congenial situation for the farmers to be. So in that scenario, if we see, then this slide is very much, this one is the old slide, but overall this depicted that around 83% farmers having the dairy animals. Among these, 78% milk is produced, and 53% of land resources these smallholder farmers are owning. Okay, they own these resources. So in dairy sector, this 83% animals occupied or kept by the dairy farmers belong to the smallholders, as well as they are contributing to the country's 78% of the milk production. So whenever we have to deal in business sense, then we have to connect ourselves as an organization, as an entrepreneur, or as a scientist with the smallholders, because majority of them own the livestock animal as well as the milk production. So this table basically shows the importance in terms of income. The overall, these smallholder, marginal and small farmers, how much their income is contributed by the livestock farming or supported by the livestock farming. So overall, this survey represented in 2018-19, it shows that 10,000 monthly income of the agriculture households. Out of that, small land, marginal as well as landless and small farmers, in nutshell, contributing 15% income from the livestock farming. So this is very important to understand here, that as a small landholder, the income from dairy farming or livestock farming is utmost important in comparison to the large or medium landholding farmers. So we have to make the dairy farming inclusive for the smallholder farmers. Then only future can sustain. Farmer gain the gainful employment from the dairy farming. So in our overall, if we see the policies of the government, they from 19 planned economy from 1950 onward, government also make the policies and the schemes so that dairy farming is to be inclusive for the dairy farmer, because land you cannot distribute in a without any major reform. Okay, we did in the 1970s or 80s, we distributed the land also to the marginalized farmer, but it's easy to distribute the livestock instead of the land resources, or the smallholder can capitalize the land, these small animals, livestock animals, instead of the land. So it provides large avenues to the smallholder farmers so that they can gain the income from the dairy farming. And let's see this particular picture. This picture here diagram represents the milk density in the country. Milk density means what? Per square kilometer, how much milk is available or how much milk is produced by the farmers. Then overall at country level, if we see here, then our eastern part as well as our Kashmir and Jammu region is not having a high milk density. Whereas western part of India, especially Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, these are having a you can say mediocre level of milk intensity, whereas Gujarat is having the 40 to 60 tons per kilometer per square kilometer milk density. What I want to say here, if you see the Uttar Pradesh and the Bihar, these are the states which this particular picture shows that it is highest milk density in the country. So whenever as a policymaker, as an outsider, if you see this picture, then you can assume that these two states, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, is having the largest milk production per square kilometer. So let's start business in that particular area. But that is not reality. Reality is what today in western part, in Gujarat, in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, these states are having a more industries in terms of milk processing. Why? Anybody can answer this question? I'm audible. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, okay. Can anybody answer that in this picture, Uttar Pradesh and the Bihar are having a highest milk density, but we are having a minimal dairy industries or infrastructure to collect the milk from the farmers. What is the reason? What you understand from this? And the reason which are having the low milk density, they are having good infrastructure, good collection centers and all that. So let's make clear that these states having a highest population also, human population also. And resultant what happen, for large number of farmers are producing a milk, but their marketed surplus is around 50%. So for example, in Rajasthan, for example, farmer is producing 10 liter of the milk. His marketed surplus is more as compared to the people farmer located in the Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, because its family size is larger. As at the same time, it's a small, very small land holding he is own, as well as very small farm size. This livestock farm also he own. So in that scenario, very high milk density but less marketed surplus compel the other industries to move from this region to the other western part of the country where large marketed surplus is available, less number of milk farmers, so they connect with the large marketed surplus. Their per unit of collection of the milk is less as compared to the highly density area in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Okay, so this picture overall depicts the heterogeneity in terms of milk production, and maybe those regions where milk production is more economic, for example in western part, that's why farmers are producing more milk, or maybe industries also purchasing a lot of marketed surplus from the farmers. So dairy industry at country level is not homogeneous. You cannot depict one color with whole country. It's a regional disparities are there, regional economics is there, and regional profitability is there, and regional cost is there. So regional factors are utmost important whenever we have to see our country's dairy sector as a whole, as an industrialist or as an entrepreneur or as a extension worker, I can say. So let's discuss what challenges this smallholding agriculture pose among the farmers. One of that is low productivity. Our dairy farmers are having a less productive animals. They are not accessing the modern breeding technologies as well as quality feeds, veterinary care, and all that. Due to that, low milk yield as well as quality of milk is also not good, because less high means small volume of milk dealt by the number of farmers. So that's why quality assurance is also very difficult. Similarly, shortage of the feed and fodder is major issue. We are having lot of our agriculture is rainfall agriculture. We are majority our agriculture dependent on the rainfall, and if rain disturbs, then our feed and fodder shortage is very much evitable in the semi-arid areas, especially in the Rajasthan, Gujarat, or you can say in Maharashtra and western part of the India overall. So this caused the two effects. One is the availability as well as affordability. Sometimes feed is good quality, feed is not available. If it is available, then its affordability is the concern. Okay, so another issue smallholding dairy farmer is on is the disease management. Veterinary access services access is very limited, and majority we know that in veterinary services are in the public domain. Okay, government is serving to the farmers and the farming communities, and most of the time smallholder farmer unable to access these services, and the paid services are very much costly. So it is double done for the farmers. Similarly, access to credit and the capital is also core issue, because majority of our farmers are not able to access the formal credit system. And if there is no formal credit system, then they are not reluctant to purchase the dairy animal by on credit. And in the shortage of credit, they generally unable to scale up the dairy farming. They are unable to increase the herd size. So this is also one issue small holding dairy farmer own. Similarly, market access. Market access is very much challenging, because we know that to collect the milk from millions of farmers is very difficult. To collect the milk, you need the supply chain, you need the procurement center, you need the cold chain. Everything is in the place. Then only you are able to collect the small quantity of milk from the small farmers. So that is creating a lot of issues in terms of capital productivity from industry side. Similarly, lack of technical knowledge. Farmer also very much primitive in the nature. Nowadays, lot of technological advancement is taking place in the production side, and generally farmers are unable to access these products and practices. So that create a hindrance in the optimal productivity achievement. Similarly, land fragmentation is also one issue. Each means 20 year, 30 year, in each family land is fragmenting. And as land is fragmenting, major effect is on the dairy farming, because as land fragmenting, farmer is keeping less animals, because he cannot support from the from the existing land resources. So this is also issue. Similarly, environmental sustainability is also issue. In small land holding, when you use the land resources, water and all these things in a minimal piece of land, and you overexploit most of the time, and overexploitation of the natural resource cause the effect on the long-term sustainability of the dairy farming in the small holding agriculture. Similarly, access to information and technology is important aspect, which generally smallholder farmers are lacking due to limited access to information, extension worker, and the technology. So we need these barriers can be overcome if government support them in more by enabling the most technological solution to the farmers. Similarly, infrastructure is also deficit. Infrastructure means milk collection centers, either cold storage facilities are also lacking. Post-harvest loss are huge in terms of, so we need to reduce to overcome the challenges of smallholding dairy farming. Market linkage is very limited. Smallholders generally cannot collect the huge milk, and they cannot access they generally not connected with the direct access to the consumer. So they have to go through the middleman. There is a huge chain. They have to sell to milk to the village vendor, or either to the cooperative. The cooperative is to process, or milk vendor is to transmit the goods from or milk from the rural area to urban area. So it's a huge chain, and as complex this chain, it's not in the favor of the farmer, or especially not in the favor of the smallholders. So let's see how cost structure in dairy farm typically. Typically, cost structure depends on the several factors. One of them is a location, where it is. It is in semi-arid area, it is in irrigated plain, it is on the hilly area, it is in the odd geographical location. All these factors basically determine how much is the cost of production per liter of the milk. These are and what practices farmers are following, what techniques they are using to produce the milk. All these factors may create a differences in terms of cost of production at farm level. Well, let's break down what typical cost structure at farm level is. One major factor is the animal procurement. Animal procurement, we know major cost. In general, farmer, whenever he purchase animal, he is to pay 70,000, 80,000, 1 lakh, near about nowadays. Okay. So that is depending how much price farmer is paying, depending on the what breed of animal he is purchasing, what age of animal, and what production potential of the animal. So breed wise, you better know that Murrah buffalo is costly as compared to other animal who is having the less fat content. So majorly breed is important factor in terms of cost of procurement. And this is related with majorly either breed is producing more milk, or either breed is producing more fat. Okay, these are the two factors. Either animal is more milk producing, either is fat content of the breed is higher. So these two determinative factor you can say whenever animal farmer is purchasing. Age of animal is important. Its production potential is important. Similarly, infrastructure facilities is also required. Infrastructure means he required the shed, shelter, he required the pakka or kacha house for animal rearing and all that, for feeding and milking area. So that is also one of the major component of the cost. Feed and nutrition. This is variable cost because it's vary from the season to season, farmer to farmer. Most of the time, farmer own the green fodder and the dry fodder. They are lacking in terms of concentrates. So they majority time purchase from the farm outside the farm, either through cooperative society, either through the private retailers. Okay. And in terms of green fodder and dry fodder production, these are also costly affair because petrol, diesel, and other machinery and all this expenditure is to be around its own. So this is also one of 70% of cost in dairy farming is involving over the feed and fodder cost only. Similarly, labor is also important aspect. Generally, we people, whenever we consider the cost, majority time family labor is engaged in the dairy farming, but we have to consider it whenever we calculate or consider the cost of production, because almost 15 to 18% contribution in total milk production is owned by the labor cost. Similarly, medicines and the vaccine is very costly nowadays in climate change situation or at farm level. Take care of the animal. Veterinary care is very important aspect. And majority our public support system is not at grassroots level deliver the veterinary care. So majority time farmer is to access the private veterinary service provider or to the field level veterinary workers, and that is involve huge cost. Several studies over the year conducted, they show that on an average farmer is to pay 2,000 or 3,000 rupees per annum for caring the animal in terms of veterinary expenses. Breeding and genetic expenses is also costly. AI expenditure generally 2-3 times. A farmer is to AI for single pregnancy and all that. This is also huge cost. Then so many nowadays small or medium sized large farmers are nowadays investing on the milking machine, farm machineries. These also cost effective, costly affairs, and working cost is also higher, electricity cost and all that. So these are the some of the aspects. And sometime whenever you purchase the animal by the finance, by the bank finance, then you have to go for animal insurance. That is also costly. 8 to 10% premium you have to pay for animal against the cost of animal. That is insurance cost. Similarly, you have the seed and forage production cost, transportation cost, marketing cost is also one of the component, because routine you have to dispatch the milk from farm to the disposal center. That is also one of the cost. So this is overall cost scenario. And it is, I already discussed with you that there are several, these are the determinating factors whenever you consider the cost of production. Let's discuss what overall at country level farmers are facing, what kind of marketing system they are facing. Maybe it vary from national level. We cannot portray with the single picture. Okay, this is the only market competition farmers are facing at the country level. This is just a generalized at country level scenario that it is kind of perfect competition in terms of milk production is concerned, because millions of farmers, I already discussed in previous slide that almost 8 crore farm families are involved in the dairy farming, and these farmers are huge in the numbers, and they almost 89% farmer in India dealing with the dairy farming. So in perfect competitive market in economics, we know that what feature it basically carries. It is having certain characteristics, large number of farmers, perfect mobility of the factor of production, perfect knowledge, and there is no price taker. These are the some features. So we can, from this picture, we can say that at production level, Indian dairy sector is facing a perfect competitive market, near to perfect competitive market. Okay, so in perfect competitive market, demand curve is rigid in the nature. It is not switch over within a short period of time. Demand not to be affected by the in a short term period. Similarly, your supply curve is the marginal cost curve above the average cost curve. Okay, so here this curve is MC is a marginal cost curve. This is the supply curve and this is the demand curve. Okay, And here cost curve is average cost curve is intersecting the supply curve here. Okay, so this is your price. P star is basically in this production system, price is determined at this level, and the farmer cost of production is here. Yellow region is representing the cost, and the here this one line is the price line. So difference between the price and the cost is considered here is a profit. So in this particular exercise at production side, we have to look at how we can minimize the cost and maximize the profit. How it is possible? It is possible in 2-3 scenarios. Okay, one is either you reduce the average cost curve, then your cost will be lower side and your profit will be higher. And another is either market allow you to shift the demand curve above. If demand curve shift above, demand is more, then automatically price of product will be higher. Okay, so these are the two scenarios in which you have to, as a farmer, as an individual farmer, you have to look at market, because there are not possible in short term to increase the price of the milk, but it is cyclical in the nature. Over the year, price of milk will increase definitely, but we have to much more work as the individual farmer at the cost, because cost is in some cost is in your control, some may be not. It is depending on the market what offer. Okay, so here let's see how over the year cost has changed, especially in terms of feed and fodder. These are the results. These are the data representing the wholesale price index at country level, the wholesale price index. Okay, this is clearly shows that milk price is this line. Milk price is continuously increased over the last 10 years. Okay, from 100 index to it is now approaching the now has crossed the 170 index. Similarly, fodder cost as well as feed cost, these are the two major costs, and their increase in price is in higher side as compared to the milk price. So milk price, generally these feed and fodder is having a contribution in terms of total cost 40% or 45%. So as a result of that, there is a price spiral. Price is increasing each year by year of the cattle feed and the fodder. As a result of that, milk price is also increasing. So milk price increase is having a two means large effects in economy. One is consumer may face a difficulty to purchase the milk. If over the year milk price is increasing, then it create a means negative impression among the consumers. They are unable to purchase at high price. Similarly, and if consumer is unable to purchase, then demand in long run will reduce. Okay, but by fortunately, we as a country having a large heterogeneity in terms of consumer. We are having high income group, middle income group, low income group. So that's why this factor is not much affecting the demand. Demand is not squeezing. Demand is year by year is increasing, but it doesn't mean we have not to work on the cost factors, because to make the dairy farming competitive to the India for or at a global level, we have to very much work on the cost. Cost should be reduced, wastages should be reduced, efficiency factor or efficiencies to be increased. So on these aspects we have to work to make the competitive our dairy industry for us as well as a global. Then only we can get the global access to the market. We remain sustainable in the international market. Okay, so let's discuss how we can reduce the cost. What strategy at farm level we have to use so that cost can be reduced. Okay, so first of all is the optimizing the use of feed and the nutrition. How we can grow high yielding variety of the fodders at farm level, so our reliance on the purchase of feed is to be minimal. Similarly, how we make the balanced diet. Balanced diet means all the nutrition for animal can get from the available feed and fodder, so that his maintenance ration, his production ration is to be compensated, and he will produce in the good manner. Similarly, maybe animal is having good genetic potential, but he is not getting a balanced diet, so he is unable to perform the full potential of the genetic potential. Similarly, we have to use the efficient manure management, because manure is also nowadays one of the means supplementary income for the farmers. They have to use the manure for organic farming, for they can set up the biogas plant, so that energy cost at farm household level can be used from these biogas plants. So this is one strategy to reduce the cost. Similarly, disease prevention. For disease prevention, preventive measures farmers is to take either vaccination or either deworming to reduce the disease occurrence, or either he is to follow the strict biosecurity measures. so that outbreak is, whenever there is an outbreak of disease, it is not spread at his farm. Okay, that aspect farmer is to work. Similarly, optimal breeding practices is also important. Optimal breeding practices means we have to use the AI, good quality of AI semen, so that the genetic potential can be increased in the short term as well as in long run. Similarly, farmer is to keep the record of the animals, productivity of the animal, reproductive performance of the animal, so that in short term or in long run he can work on these aspects. He know his lacunas. That is important. That's why farmer is to focus on the optimal breeding practices. He is to invest in the energy efficient tools, like he is to use the LED lighting, efficient milking system. He is to use the reduce the electricity. Electricity is also costly affair nowadays in rural area. Similarly, cooperative farming is important because marginal and small farmer does not have all the resources which are favorable for the production. So in that scenario, we need the cooperative farming. Cooperative farming allows the farmer to source the inputs in a collective manner and to sell the output in a collective manner. That provide both sides support to the farmers, and production side as well as in marketing side. So cooperative farming is one of the way, and we already experienced over the 50 years in our plan economy that how cooperative sector, especially in dairy sector, is shaping, and it allowed the dairy farmer to sustain in the long run. Similarly, record keeping and data analysis is important. Record keeping allow us to what milk production, how much cost expenses are there. You can easily know what are the factors which create losses in the dairy farming, what are the enabling factor you have to work on. That also possible if you are keeping a proper record of data. बोला सर. Continue. Crop livestock integration is also important. Crop livestock integration means what? Here we know that 98% farmers in India are dealing with the crop production, and almost 90% farmers in livestock. So as strong is the crop and livestock integration at farm level, our dairy sector as well as crop sector, both can be symbiosis relation is possible. So in that way, we need the better integration at the farm level, livestock as well as for crop farming. Government schemes are also, there are several government schemes through which government is supporting or either subsidizing the dairy farming. Either it's a public veterinary services, either it is sometime through cooperative farmers are getting a loan, short-term loan, long-term loan, or government is also through the nationalized banks or through the private bank, government allow the credit for dairy farming. So these are the some important aspects. Similarly, education and the training is also important. And there are a lot of public support to give the training to the farmer regarding the modern dairy farmings. That also reduces the cost. Marketing and marketing and the market access is important, especially when you are having a cooperative organization in dairy marketing and dairy processing sector. Then it is that sector, these institutions are playing big role, through which marketing expenses of the farmer is minimal and maximum share in consumer rupee farmer can get. So these are the some key aspects in terms of reduction of the cost at farm level. Similarly, when we have to see the profit maximization, because cost minimization is one aspect and profit is the difference between the revenue or the output minus the cost. So we have discussed now cost reduction. Now let's see how revenue can be increased, how cost can be again balanced out or optimized. So from that aspect, let's discuss how profit can be maximized. One aspect already I discussed, balanced feed nutrition plan, high yielding variety of the feed and fodders, proper animal care, as well as breeding program, good breeding program at farm level. These are the some aspects which can be used for cost management. Similarly, for market access, the farmer is to create a better linkage with the local processing units, local milk vendors, or cooperative institution or private institutions, and through which they can get the high price of milk. So that is one aspect where they can maximize the profit or revenue from the dairy farming. Scale economy is very important. Scale economy means as small as farm, their economy is less economic is the dairy farm. It is general perception in the in general that as large farm is, its cost of production is minimal or optimal. So let's farmer is also, whenever he is keeping 2 animal, 3 animal, he is to capitalize economies of the scale by increasing the size of the herd size, and herd size allow him to manage the various types of the cost. Okay, direct cost or indirect cost, implicit and explicit cost. Similarly, government schemes and subsidies. Farmer is to be very much aware about these schemes, how to get the benefit from these schemes. He is to take the advantage of all these. Similarly, diversifying the dairy production, dairy products. He is not to sell the liquid milk. He is to make the value-added products in the form of the ghee, cheese, yogurt, so that his farm income can be increased. If market allow, then he is to do. If he is in peri-urban area or in urban area, then he can work on very much on these aspects. If he is in very interior area, then also he can try he to invest on the forward market chain, or either he is to connect with the dairy industry so that he get the good price for the products. So this is the overall we have discussed till regarding the production side at farm level, how what cost structure, how cost can be minimized, and how profit can be maximized. Let's move to the another side of the coin, that is the dairy industry. Okay, because dairy industry is very vibrant. By fortunately, we are very much fortunate, I can say, that our dairy sector is having a major role or major share occupied by the cooperative sector, and cooperative sector enable the farmer to sustain in terms of small holding dairy farming. So let's discuss over the year how what is the shape of dairy industry in our country, and over the year how it has progressed, as well as how it will what their cost structure and how profitability is the issue for them also. So this is the key indicators of dairy industry. If we see the number of overall, I have designed the presentation over the 20 years, how dairy sector has changed. And 2011-12 here is the benchmark, because after that, this National Dairy Plan, NDP plan was initiated in the year of 2012. Before that and after that, we will discuss how number of factories has increased, how fixed capital formation has increased in the dairy industry, and how other parameter has changed. So let's see here number of factories. Number of factories in the year of 2000 is around 800. In within means 10 year, it has increased to the double, just double, and after that it has increased to the 1.3 times. What it means? It maybe means that some industry, those who are not competitive in the market, they may have exited from the market, or they wipe out from the market, or maybe some industries has capitalized them, they reduce their numbers and they increase in the size. So that is reflected here clearly in terms of fixed capital. Fixed capital formation number has reduced, not increased in the substantial manner, not reduced, but not increased in the momentum as from 2001 to 2011. But here capital formation has increased. That is not very much affected by the number of factories. So this shows that there is a concentration of the dairy sector. Concentration in terms of scale of economics of scale may have industries have achieved, and this clearly shows here that total capital investment in dairy sector has increased almost 2.5 times over the period of time, and overall in last 20 years it has increased to the 5 times, from 55 lakh crore rupees to the almost 30 lakh crore rupees investment in dairy sector has occurred over the year. So it shows that there is no issue in terms of capital investment from the dairy industry side. Again, against this factor, if you look at the number of workers engaged in the dairy farming, in dairy industry, then this number shows that in the initial 10 year from 2001 to 2011, their number is just double. Okay, and in recent year, it has increased with the less momentum. Reason may be dairy industry is mechanizing. There is less scope for the manual, or you can say the labor engagement, and lot of work nowadays done by the machines, and lot of mechanization is there. So it poses the challenge for the human resource involved in the dairy farming. Similarly, value of output. Value of output is also challenge for us. Let's see here. 2001 to 2012, value of output has increased as the momentum of 2.5 times. But after 2011 to 19, it has not get the same momentum. It has increased definitely, but not in the same momentum. So there is a question of whether industry with large capacity, with large capital investment, by reduced number, they unable to process high output. So that also important aspect we will cover in later part of our presentation. Similarly, net value addition. Net value addition is not compromised much as compared to the value of output. So net value addition is there. That is good news for industry. Net value addition is the output minus the expenditures which involve in the dairy product production side, dairy processing side. Okay, that is not much compromised, but profit is here compromised. Profit is over the year has compromised, maybe due to the high depreciation or due to the high interest payment to the support the capital investment. So these are the some issues we have to look at how profit can be maximized, because our topic is reduce the cost, maximize the profit. Let's see how dynamic is the cost structure in dairy industry. In terms of industry, we have seen there is a dynamism in terms of number of industries, value of output, net value addition, number of workers engaged, or there is a profit is compromised. So against that, let's see whether cost also changed in the same manner or not, whether cost dynamics is there or cost is static in the nature over the year. Because why it is important? Because each time whenever milk price at farm level increases, then automatically it is reflected in terms of the consumer price. Consumer is in the same manner, consumer is to pay the high price. So whether industry is just passing the price increase or input cost increase to the consumers, or whether industry is also working on the cost reduction strategies, or whether it results or not. So that is reflected here in terms of cost structure of dairy industry. Here, these results clearly shows that emolument is the salaries of the workers. Emoluments has increased substantially. If you divide the total number of workers engaged with the total emolument, then on an average, this figure shows around 3 lakh rupees per annum. Okay. Similarly, fuel cost has reduced. It shows the operational efficiency on which industries work. Industry has given a good results. Energy cost reduction means they are nowadays, whatever plants they are building, they are more energy efficient, less energy cost is involved. So that is one good factor in reflecting in terms of cost structure. Similarly, material consumption is here. Material consumption, it has increased in initial year in 2001 to 11, 2.63 times. But in latter part, material consumption is not got the same momentum. Even 30% reduction, 30 or 40% reduction in the material consumption, that was a serious challenge. Means already industry has invested heavily on the capital side in terms of factory and all that, but they are not getting a material consume. Material consume is not increased. It shows that they are unable to get the good in the same momentum liquid milk, and that poses a challenge for the dairy industry. Similarly, depreciation part is also increased. Depreciation is increased because of the huge investment on the capital side. This also changing dynamics is there. Similarly, interest paid. Interest paid is also huge side, means it's 1.74 time increase in the interest payment to support the capital investment in the working capital. Similarly, outstanding loans are also higher side. They have paid, they are timely paying. That's why interest paid amount is not substantially increased over the 2 periods, but that also shows the increasing the momentum. So overall, in tabular form, if we see the cost structure in dairy sector, then this trend clearly shows that material consumption cost has get the momentum in the recent year, 3% increase in material cost. Emolument cost is more or less similar in the nature, 4% contribution in total cost of the salaries component, that has reduced over the year to the 3.5%, 5% of the total cost. Fuel cost has reduced substantially, 2-3 point decrease in the fuel cost. That shows the efficiency of the industry. Depreciation cost is more or less in the similar nature over the period of time. Interest payment has reduced. That is also good sign that industry is sustaining in terms of capital repayment. And provisional fund and all these expenditures are more or less in the less number because of the reduction in the number of persons hired. And rent paid is also reduced. Rent paid means it shows that industry they are investing on their capital investment. They are not working in the hiring momentum or in third party contracts. Okay, so this is overall regarding the cost structure. let's see how profit is changing, because profit is the difference between the revenue and the cost. So we have discussed that over the period of time, how much material cost has increased, how much depreciation cost has increased. Good results here industry is presenting in terms of emolument and the fuel consumption, but how much output is increased. Output increase in initial 2001 to 11-12 is 2.5 times, but in recent year it has 1.72 times. That's a serious challenge for the dairy industry. How they can increase the output, value of output? Either they work on the product diversification, high value product they have to produce instead of the liquid milk production, because liquid milk already we know that it is not having much profit from industry point of view. Okay. Similarly, let's see the profits. Profits also compromised over the year, and these figures are clearly reflecting. So industries do definitely work on the increase the revenue by selling a more value of output, by increasing the value of output. And how it is possible? By material consumption, because material consumption is here very low in terms of 1.74 times increase. Okay, that's why it's reduced. Value of output has reduced, and definitely profit has compromised. So for industry, it's very difficult, very much important to consume, to get more material consumption as well as more value of output and more profit it will be. So let's discuss, as we discussed, that farmers are mostly working in the near to perfect competitive market. Then let's discuss what is the competition industry is facing. We know that at country level, there is no single enterprise or industry which or firm is having a dominant role. There are regional cooperatives are there. They are having a prominent role. For example, in Gujarat, it is Amul. Even in western part, it is nowadays Amul is getting more market share and everything. But in southern part, their state cooperatives are very much important, and they are the market leader in there. So regional territories are already there. In regional territories, some of them, some cooperatives are the market leader. And market leader generally in monopolistic market determine the rule of the market. So here, when I say the monopolistic market means there are large number of or many number of sellers are there, and they are not they are facing a elastic demand in the market, and that allow the market for product differentiation. For product differentiation means in terms of new innovative product they can produce, and they create a new customers in the market. So this perfect monopolistic market allow some firm to get the supernormal profit, some firm may get the normal profit, and some may get the suboptimal profits depending on the cost structure of the firm. But market demand is very much elastic in the nature. So on product side they can work, on cost side also they can work. So in that scenario, let's discuss what way industry can reduce the cost and what way industry can increase the profit. So first of all, industry is to work on the cost control mechanism. There should be cost control analysis at firm level, at industry level, so that they are very much clear how to control the cost. What are the major cost components there in the business and how they can optimize it. So first of all, companies to set the specific objective for cost control. What their objective? Specific objective. It is not that overall cost control you have to talk. You have to talk regarding the activity-based costing. Either milk procurement cost, milk processing cost, milk marketing cost, milk processing cost. Each aspect you have to cover whenever you define your objective for the firm. Similarly, identify the key cost category, whether it is direct labor cost, material cost, overhead cost, whatever be it is, whatever be the important for you, you have to categorize them. Then establish the baseline survey, baseline data you have to create. Means over the year, you have to create a database. What your direct cost, what your material cost, what overhead cost, and other cost. So if you are having the base data, then only your intervention will reflect you that whether your interventions are good or not, whether it is reducing the cost or not. So that's why we have to create a key performance indicator. Key performance indicator are important. Each year, base data with you, then you have to yearly basis identify or develop the key performance indicators. You have to measure them and you have to track them. What can be the cost, key performance indicator? It may be the cost of unit of milk production, processing cost, or marketing cost, with respect to the total revenue, cost variance, how much cost is varying over the year or within a year. All these things you have to consider in the key performance indicator category. Then you have to collect the data, analyze them, what expenses, what cost in each category, identify the trend, anomalies are there, and the area where you have to meet the expectations of the management. Okay, then you have to do the variance analysis. Variance analysis means simply standard deviation or covariance analysis you have to perform, and then see whether cost is varying in the nature or whether it is static in the nature. Okay, then root cause analysis. Cause analysis allow you to look at the total budget, how you take care of the cost reduction strategy, how you perform better in terms of cost reduction, what are the responsible factors for the cost. These factors you have to identify the inefficiency in the processes, identify the inefficiency in the sourcing of the raw material, identify inefficiency in terms of marketing of the products. So all these root cause analysis is to be performed at industry level. Then you have to compare with the benchmark. Already industry is having certain benchmarks, okay, certain industry standards. You can go through the balance sheet of the particular industry or profit cost statement of the particular food dairy industry, and then compare with own industry, with your firm, how industry benchmarks are there and how you are performing, and you identify what are the gaps, what are the gray area for your firm, that you have to identify when you compare with the benchmarking. Okay, then you have to work to the cost reduction strategy. Cost reduction is possible by starting from sourcing the raw material to the negotiation with the contractors or suppliers, improving the processes at industry level, automation of the industry, finding the alternative suppliers, so this way through which you have to reduce the cost. And continuous monitoring is also important. Continuous monitoring means, so if you do the continuous monitoring, then only you able to track the cost, and you put the checks on the cost control mechanism is only possible if you continuous monitor it. So there is a separate unit should be there. Those who are specialized in the cost control, they should monitor these aspects and get the feedback from the stakeholders, those who are involved in the supply chain, get their opinion, their issues, their constraints, and then come to the conclusion what your strategy should be. Whether overall market is like that, or whether you are facing a certain challenge, not other industries or other firms. Okay, then risk management. Identify the potential risk in the short term, in long term, like recently COVID happened. So you identify the risk in the market. If international market commodity prices are increasing, then what will be your cost reduction strategy? If your regional market is not, SMP prices are increasing, what should be your risk management strategy? What your contingent plan? All these aspects you have to work. Then what tools and technology you are using. A lot of softwares nowadays allow you to total monitoring of the system, starting from sourcing of raw material to the marketing of the raw material. So you have to work on this collection of the data, analysis of the data, reporting to the middle management, higher management, to the financiers and all that. So that also be part of the cost control mechanism. And cost control culture should be there. Every partner in your company, every individual employee of the company, very much conscious about the cost, because cost is the cost factor you can control. As good as management, they are most cost effective. Okay, and as bad as management, it's a very cost negligent persons are there. Managers are not good to control the cost. Okay, so cost control culture should be there in the company. There are regular trainings and the sensitization to the employees or to the stakeholders involved in the business. Regular reporting is important. Time to time, middle managers or low managers or bottom level manager has to report to the policy strategic management of the company, that what with the short term strategic plan, long term plan, to with respect to the cost control. Then periodical review is important. So these are the strategies which industry is to work from industry side. Let's discuss the profit maximization. Profit maximization is possible if you work on the pricing strategy. What should be your pricing strategy? In general, industry is working on the cost plus pricing. Generally in dairy industry, their certain cost of production is there. They add predetermined profit in the cost, and they keep the selling price of the product. So that is one very typical or the traditional way to keep the product price. In dynamic market, in high value market, when you know that it is possible to get the price discrimination is possible, market allow you, then you have to keep the dynamic prices in the consideration. Whatever dynamic pricing is allow you market, you have to use that at a point of time. Okay, market condition you have to thoroughly study the market demand, create a market segmentation for the product. For example, there are number of number of cheese products are there in the market. There is certain segment who like particular category of the cheese. So industry is to keep track on these customers. They create a market segmentation through the product line, through the marketing, through the advertisement, through the discounts, and all these factors they have to keep in mind whenever they have to keep the product price, whatever price they are putting in the market. So they have to more work on the dynamic pricing instead of the cost plus pricing. Similarly, price discrimination. If market allow you price discrimination, then you have to use. Then only your price of product is more, and you get the total revenue without any expenditure. You can get more. Similarly, cost reduction. Already we have discussed regarding the cost reduction strategies, either lean manufacturing, minimum loss, minimum wastage, increase efficiency, lower cost of production, optimize the process, continuous analysis, or product line optimization is also possible. Then you have to do supplier negotiations. You have to better negotiate with the supplier so that you economy of scale is possible. Cost allocation, how much cost you allocate to the individual activity, that also you have to work. And cost allocation definitely will be reflective of the product pricing. That also you keep in mind. Okay, continuously monitor the cost and reflect in the price. Your system should be like that. If 10% input cost increasing, then your market allow you to increase the 10% price of the product. Otherwise, you make the loss. Okay, so you allow also implement the activity-based costing. Activity-based costing is deep in the cost system. If you having the activity-based costing, then also then only you can manage the cost. You can transmit the cost to the consumers. Okay, similarly, customer retention and upskilling is important. Generally, in our dairy industry, not working on this aspect. Customer loyalty is very important. Okay, customer loyalty, Amul, for example, is good example. Whosoever be the customer of Amul, they are very much loyal because of the brand image of the Amul, you can say. Upscaling or cross-selling is important. Generally, cooperatives are unable to do that. Okay, whenever your farm consumer is purchasing a liquid milk, he is approaching to the retail outlet, then he is just purchasing liquid milk. And most of the time, outlet or retail outlets are not having such schemes through which they can cross-sell the product. They can sell the other products. Okay, that also companies has to design their marketing plan in such a way so that along with the main product, they can sell the secondary product also, so that they can get the more revenue from the per retail outlet. Then companies to work on the Pareto principle. Pareto principle says that companies 80% revenue comes from the or major profits. 20% activities are generating 80% of the profit. That is also true for dairy industry. Most of the time, liquid milk not allow the dairy companies to make a huge profit. What allows? Ice cream allows, paneer allows, cheese allows, this indigenous sweets allow them to get a more profit. Okay, so dairy industry is more scope is there to work on the 80% profits, and they generally derived from the 20% of the business. Okay, so there is a lot of scope for them. Market expansion is also possibility in geographical manner, in consumer segmentation, allow them to develop the market, diversify the market in terms of new production, new product line, new innovative product line, because nowadays a lot of regulations and all that allow you to go for product diversification. Geographical expansion is also possible. Allow your market to move from one geography to another untapped market. Similarly, inventory management is also important. Inventory management can be reduced if you follow the just-in-time inventory management, especially in the dairy sector, because inventory carry lot of cost, lot of storage cost is required, lot of cold storage chain is required, lot of expenses in electricity and all that. So you need the proper management of the inventory management is required. Similarly, ABC analysis is activity-based costing is required. You have to prioritize what high-value product are there in inventory. You have to keep them ready for the finished products. Similarly, cash flow is important. Most of the industries are struggling in terms of cash flow because At the one end, you have to pay for raw material, you have to pay to the farmers in terms of cash. At the same time, you have to, retailer is generally unable to give you cash against the product. So your cash flow should be very good. Your management system is to be very much intact, so that you are not dependent on the working capital from the banking institutions. You have to your own cycle in a such a way, your income, whatever receipts you are getting, easily you pay the checks to the your suppliers. Economy of scale is important. Okay. Then you have to work to the revenue enhancement. Revenue enhancement means increase the transaction value by offering a product or services to the customers, raise the price when justified. Okay, if market allow, then only possible it is. Then employee productivity also important. You have to increase the productivity by training, performance incentive, automation, and all that can increase the productivity. And risk management. Risk management means operational risk, financial risk, market risk, all these risks you can manage them better, then only you can get the more profit. Thanks. In hour I have finished. If you have any question, then let's discuss that.
Thank you, sir.
Any person is having any query? Yes.
Now the session is open for discussion. If you have any queries related to topic, you can raise your question or you can put your question in the chat box.